Well, hey there, it's Cathy Alessandra, your Yes I Can coach. And I am here with another episode of the Yes I Can Living podcast, where we talk about all things life, love, health, wealth, and business, all fully infused with faith. So I'm super excited today to have a special guest that I've known for quite a number of years. Kimberly, we must go, but it's got to be at least 10 years.
Yes. Yeah, I looked at it actually a couple of days ago, and I didn't realize how long it's really been, but it's been close to 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's it. It's
Yeah.
time flies when you're having fun. Well,
Yes.
because here's the thing, Kimberly has built an amazing business. So let me give you the official introduction. Kimberly DeShields-Spencer is the award-winning founder and CEO of 4 companies: UImpact, Sow.Reap.Harvest, behind her brand, which is this fabulous, and UImpact Publishing Group. She's a best-selling author, philanthropist, podcast host, and a highly sought-after marketing and branding consultant. Kimberly trains and speaks to organizations and business owners who want to understand what it means to reach beyond what they think is possible in their professions by reaching beyond the limits of they find in themselves. And boy, we all know those.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She cares about people and the results that she can help them garner by creating individualized and effective action plans to accomplish their goals. So an official welcome to
Thank
Kimberly.
you. Well, I am happy to be here. Thank you so much, Cathy.
Absolutely. Well, you have just, since we first met, grown and expanded. I know you had UImpact, now the publishing company. Actually doing a book with her publishing company, which is coming out beginning part of 2023 or so. Tell me a little bit about how you started your business and how things did grow.
You know, I actually started back when I was 19. I was working with professional speakers. I've only had one job in my whole life, and I was fresh out of college. And where I worked, my boss actually was a speaker. And so she was like, well, you're studying marketing. And at that time I was working on my master's, and she says, could you help me? And so I was like, okay, don't know nothing about that world. Don't know anything about it. You know, just jump into it. And so that's kind of how it started, my world in marketing. And it's very different marketing people, obviously. But as I started working with her, I was meeting people like Les Brown and James Malinchak and all these different people. And I didn't know who any of them were when I was first into it. And I'm really glad that I was always preserved from knowing who they were, if that makes sense, so that I can just be in it and just be fully just learning and not be like starstruck, if you will. And so over the years, I started working with different speakers, but I realized I was handicapping them because they didn't know how to do any of the marketing. I did their logistics, I did their bookings, I did everything for them. And I realized it just wasn't the kind of business that was making me happy. It was more of like feeding a monster, if you will, but I wasn't getting anything back because people wanted more and more and more. And it was at the time when everything was very heightened in the speaking industry. And I just realized I'm not helping them, so I decided to switch it. And that's where UImpact was actually born, where I wanted to show them, here's what I do, here's how to do it, here's how to market yourself best. Not all of them liked it that way because they really wanted me to do it for them. But I realized that's really what I felt my call was, is to help people in that space, not always do it for them per se in certain aspects.
Right. I love that. Okay. So being an entrepreneur for however many years, because I'm not going to ask you your age, I'm 19. We won't go down that path.
Right.
But what have been some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, by nature, I'm very introverted. I'm not the most like extroverted kind of personality. And early on in my career, and even sometimes over the last few years, I would always have people try to change who I am or tell me I need to be more this or more that. And it just didn't fit with me. And even when I tried to do it, it was almost kind of like fitting into a pair of pants that you've outgrown. It's just like it doesn't work. And I just realized I had to really be true to who I am. I may not be the most fanciest or more this or more that or whatever, but I love how God has made me be. And so I had to show up in the best way possible in that same way. And when I started doing that more and more, I started attracting people who loved who I was. And more importantly, because I started to love who I was and started to build my business in that type of mindset versus what everyone was saying I needed to do.
That's a really, really huge epiphany for many of our listeners, certainly me. And I've been kind of going through a lot of that because we get those. You'd even use the word call, that you felt that's where you were called. And I think, we get those downloads, we feel that calling, we have that nudge, and then we talk to our girlfriend about it or somebody else that isn't really, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's a time and a place to talk to my girlfriend. Absolutely.
Yes.
But not everybody can see that vision that has been gifted to us, really,
Yeah.
about where it needs to go, right?
I agree. And I just did this recording. I'm gonna post soon, and it's about how to value the silence, that there's times where you have to silence everyone's conversation around you and just really be where you need to be so you can hear yourself. And I've learned it's better for me to kind of plan in silence and then launch it, because then I feel like it's just me and him. We planned that, and now I can launch it because it's clarity of thought and not so much because we lean into what people say, and I
Right.
try
We're
not
looking
to.
for validation, right? I mean, there's all that.
Yeah.
So we're looking for that
Yeah.
validation piece, and I think,
Yes.
well, I don't know what the statistics are on that, but I have a feeling that us women
Mhm.
are worse at that, really looking to somebody to say, yeah, what a great idea, or
Oh yeah, of course. Because we love that. We love community. We love the validation. We love to feel like people are, excited about our concept and our ideas. And and my whole thing is, even if say it doesn't work always the way I'm thinking it's going to work, I like that my thought was still in it. And there's times and place I think where you do reach out to people and say, what do you think about this or that? But for the most part, I just feel like you have to be real protective of that, of your space in terms of how you're thinking and processing what you're supposed to be doing.
right. That's it.
Mhm.
It's the knowing.
Yeah.
It's the knowing.
Yes.
You use that word. You know.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask for the okay or the validation.
Exactly.
You know.
Mhm.
You've been given the answer. All right, I'll stop harping on that, but yeah. So you do branding, you do marketing,
Yeah.
you have amazing magazines, everything. Could you
Yeah.
share maybe a tip or two with our listeners on, what is something that they really should be considering when they think about this personal brand and creating, a company around that or a brand around
Yeah. Whenever I think about personal branding, I always think about what I want people to know when they say my name. When they think of who I am, what do they think about? And more importantly, what do they feel? Like, do they feel like, being a part of her brand makes me feel, and then fill in the blank? And ideally, I wanted to match who I am, because I do believe that you can't really separate the two. And I've seen some different teachings with that here's your brand and here's you are. But I'm like, no, who I am is my brand. I want to be able to show up and be supportive and helpful. I love sharing stories. And so when I think about the different things that I know who I am and the personality that I am, I look at my brands, and my prayer is always that it's reflective of that. So I always tell everyone to really think about, when they say your name, what do you want them to say? You don't want confusion to be there. You don't want them to be like, well, I don't really know what they do. If they say that, then you already know your brand is off. So be real clear with your messaging. It really starts with how you want to be identified. And then I always think about the other side, like I said, just the feelings with it too. What do you want people to say about you? Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on the whole idea of being called. I know that
Mhm.
you talk a lot about God and your faith, and
Yeah.
that's part of the things that you're
Right.
doing. So tell me a little bit how you use faith in your business, or how it plays a role,
Mhm.
how it's been infused
Yeah.
into your world.
For me, it's been there all my life. I've always been in a place of faith. But when it comes to my business, there's a scripture I always use, Colossians 3:23. And I started that using the scripture since I was 19. And it's basically everything I do is unto him. And I frame that because sometimes when business gets hard, or you're hoping that people will support you in certain ways, or you're hoping this would have launched a different kind of way, all these different things that goes up and down with business, I have to always remember I'm doing everything unto him. And if I'm doing it unto him, and I'm doing it for all the right reasons, in the right headspace, it allows me to kind of process and to work differently. So when I look at everything, I always ask myself, how does it represent myself, or represent God, represent myself, my family? And I really do filter it through those different things. And, on the other side of that for me, for faith, is, as building, sometimes you don't know how it's going to turn out. And so you have to have a level of faith. And that's scary, because I'm a planner and I like every step. And I've learned God laughs at me with those. He's like, yeah, you're not gonna get all the steps. And so I've had to learn to just release and just trust the process. And that took me years to do, because I wanted to control the process. And so in my faith, I had to learn to say, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I trust you to walk me through the outcomes that's going to be. And so that's kind of how I've had to filter my journey, and with using faith in him. Yeah.
I think that's definitely an important one, that just is the idea of like taking that first step. And
Yeah.
as I was saying in a masterclass I was teaching recently, it's like, the universe, God cannot change direction or help you change direction if you're not at least moving, right? You can't change direction from a parked car.
Exactly.
So it's like, we need to at least be stepping into that. And when you hear that calling, when you hear that nudge, when you know that download, like we talked about, right, that's what you need to be doing, following that. So where do you go or where do you find your inspiration?
Ooh, California. No, find me a good beach. My husband and I love the beach, but for me, honestly, it really is the beach. Quiet moments like that. Water has always been my center. That's where I got the download for Behind Her Brand, the magazine, and where me and God had to argue about that because I was like, "What? Wait a minute, what are you talking about?" Yeah, like going back and forth. But it was those early mornings when my husband and I went out there, and he would always laugh because whenever I'm just with me and God out there, I'll have like full clothes on, which is very odd, probably at the beach, very early in the morning, and I have all my stuff with me. And so I can, my journals, my notepads and all that, so I can just write and create. And I've learned sometimes just sitting there, sometimes in silence, just kind of like thoughts just kind of flow. And I also get inspiration just driving. Sometimes if I drive a good scenic route that's real peaceful and quiet, because I got two boys, a 14-year-old and almost a 3-year-old. So quiet, yes. And so sometimes just driving and just not trying to intentionally think through things, just kind of letting things kind of happen. It's amazing how you find inspiration around you when you let it come to you. So for me, those are my two anchors, just having that quiet time, the silence, water, and the scenic areas are really good for me.
Yeah, I love that. Silence and solitude. That's
Yeah.
a place to be able to hear it. And
Yes.
and it's funny, it's allowing, you talked about kind of, it's allowing, right? It's allowing that flow and whatever that looks like, right? And it just, I think sometimes we get in that masculine and we're so driven, we're so controlling, we want to make that out, right? I mean, even you were saying, right, it's hard to like, I want to make it happen, right? Or which way?
Yes.
And actually taking a step back and just love that. Wonderful.
Yeah, I've always learned to kind of carry a notepad with me no matter what I have on me. I always have a notepad because I just never know when that's going to hit the inspirations or the ideas or the concepts. And so that helps whenever those moments hit. Yeah.
My problem is they hit in the shower.
Me too. That's how the name UImpact came to be, actually. I was like, what?
I need like a big whiteboard in my shower. So that because invariably, or the worst, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and there's something clearly that God is speaking to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got it. I repeated it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I've got to just have that paper next to the side of the bed,
Yes, I always have it right there. My friend and I always laugh. I said he always wakes me up at 3:00 whenever he wants to tell me something, and I used to joke with God and be like, "Could you not wait till I wake up in the morning? Why does it have to be in the middle of the night?" So it's like, but I just roll over and I write my little thought and I go back to bed.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, the Behind Your Brand magazine, which for those of you who are watching the video, you can see it here. Actually, I'm very honored and excited to be in an upcoming issue. But tell me a little bit about that, because you said that it was a download that you had.
Yes.
You're clearly empowering and inspiring women who are reading it by sharing the stories of those who are in it. So tell me a little bit about your mission on the magazine.
Yeah.
You know me as a magazine, person too. It's like, I love it. So tell me about that.
For me, it's kind of, well, I know, you do this work as well. I wanted to create something where we can ask different questions of women, and we're still expanding that even more in future issues, where we can learn more about people's journey, more about the ups and downs, because I was finding that women were feeling a little bit alone. They were feeling a little bit that, well, how come so-and-so is so successful and I'm doing everything that they're doing and it's just not working for me? Or feeling like they're not good enough, or feeling all these different things. And what I was finding, Cathy, it was some of the women that were coming and sharing these things privately with me. It was women I would have never thought in a million years thought that or felt that. I mean, it blew me away because I see their public persona and things they post and share. And I was like, thinking, wow, they're killing it. And then they would come and we go to lunch and it's like a totally different person. And I started thinking one day, I was like, this would be great to kind of share, but I put that thought away because I had done the books already, the Behind the Brand books for a number of years. And I thought I had closed a chapter on that. So when I was going through my divorce, actually when it was finalized, I went to the beach, and that's when I was sitting there like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Because I felt like there was a shift coming. And when he brought up Behind Her Brand and said magazine, it was like, no, I closed that door. No, we're not doing that. And so the more he started talking to me and I started writing, it was like all those original concepts came back to flow a little differently. And I was like, you know what? I want to tell the stories differently this time. And I want to hopefully in some ways help people. But I also wanted to take away titles. There's like women who work from home who have incredible careers, but they chose to, transition to being at home. Well, so many of them would tell me they felt devalued by women that have these corporate careers, but yet there's equally just as successful and creative and all those different things. And so I wanted to kind of have a hybrid magazine where we can highlight corporate women, but also everyday entrepreneurs. And we even have a couple of students in there who are just fresh out of college, and they're doing so amazing, but they have so many learning lessons. And I just wanted to level the playing field, hopefully, just where we can learn from each other. So
I love
a
that.
long answer.
Right. I mean, if you have not bought a copy of the magazine, I know it's at Barnes and Noble. That's where I got mine. I actually subscribe, so I actually get it. But there's other, other places.
Yeah.
And it's just so inspiring. I mean, I love this, the idea here, and you're so spot on. I mean, I think women get in that place, that in their head, that I'm the only one struggling like this. Look at that person, look at that person, look at that. And the fact is when you really pull behind the curtain, we all still have those same struggles. We all put our pants on, one leg at a time, I mean, it's like, it's no, right. And so being able to highlight that.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're hoping to do, because that's one reason why too. And I'm sure we're going to be bringing you on too, but we wanted to take it off the pages and start interviewing people and putting them in different places and sharing their information consistently too, because in my thing is there's so many different mediums for us to learn from each other. And I don't want it to be just like one time for the women in the magazines. You'll probably see them in different formats in different ways, because I still feel like there's so many different ways we can still learn from each other. So,
right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How do you define success?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, I always feel I'm successful if I'm doing the things that I know that I'm meant to do. And if my family is good, and if I'm good, I'm good. For me, that's when I know I'm feeling successful, when, my kids can do the things that they love to do because we're able to do that. And we help them with that. When we're able to support people in the ways that we want to support them without struggle, I feel very successful in those moments. But it's also, like I said, it's accomplishing the things that we're called to do. I feel good when I'm able to do that. It's not so much about the results of it, if that makes sense, the materials and stuff like that. It's not that for me. It's just feeling good that I did a good day's work. And I feel successful in that. Yeah.
I love that. Wonderful. All right. Well, we're getting to the end of our time together. So, I just wanted to ask you the final question that I ask all the women I interview here is, what makes you a yes, I can woman?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say I'm a yes, I can woman because I'm someone that chooses to show up every single day. And I choose to step into my calling every single day, even if I don't know what all that may entail, but it's a choice. And it's a choice that I make daily. And I choose me and the things I'm supposed to do on a daily basis. So that makes me a yes, I can.
I love that. I love that.
Thank
so
you.
I know people are thinking, okay, where do I find her? I need to know. Blah, blah, blah. Where can people connect with you?
The best platform is behindherbrand.net. And that's where all of our businesses are listed on there. So behindherbrand.net is the best place to find us.
Okay. I think you've got a pod. I mean, there is a podcast. I know people can listen to that too, and they can access that. And truly, I encourage you to go hunt down the magazine. Tell me the stores, the physical locations that it's at. Barnes and Noble.
Books A Million. We're in regional HEBs, soon to be national, and regional Publix, and that's more Texas, Florida, all those areas there in Publix. And then in the fall, they'll be all nationwide.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, like I said, like me, you can go subscribe so you get it delivered to your mailbox.
Right.
I don't have to go track it down, because I'm telling you, it's the perfect thing to sit down with.
Thank you.
Even in the morning, in the evening, whatever, just even if you, I don't even read the whole thing. I read like one article at a time and just take that inspiration with me through the day. So
I love that. Thank you so much.
It's wonderful. All right. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much for being with us today. I super appreciate you taking the time to share with us all that you are up to. And for those that are listening, thank you so much for being with us for another episode of Yes, I Can Living. Stay tuned or listen to our past episodes. We've got all kinds of great content, information, inspiring interviews for women who are living in their Yes, I Can life. So until next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.